Essentially what D10X does is it focuses on client-centered innovation that the output of is new products and services, or basically new client value propositions, new business models, or new engagement channels for our clients. But it's all client-centered. So it's not about technology and it's not about efficiency, it's about client centricity. What D10X does is it explores internal use cases or proof of concepts that are client-centric. So basically, what can we build internally that is good for our clients and good for Citi, and oftentimes relies on new technology or new understanding and new view of how we engage with our clients. But in the process of doing that, we may discover interesting fintechs or technology companies that we might be interested in investing in or partnering in. So essentially there we support the build, invest, partner decision in a sense, or build, buy, partner decision. In other contexts, we would understand that the type of talent required to run a specific business model is very different than what we have. For example, we will build up an entire kind of P&L with its own resourcing that essentially fits the new business model, the new technology developed, again, as part of a client-centric value proposition. So we don't do technology for its own sake, but as part of a client problem. And this is slightly different because, for example, if you take a line between what D10X does and what labs, for example, do, labs would sometimes explore technology in and of itself in terms of assessing its impact to the business, or they would augment staff with digital native talent. So our focus is essentially on the funding model and the product management model and the client centricity. And we partner with the labs as delivery organizations for ventures. So the way I view it is that there was a wonderful quote from a science fiction writer that basically the future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. So from that point of view, what I'm most concerned with is technologies that already have production use cases in other types of organizations and are just hitting the financial industry right now. So in that case, for example, APIs or open APIs is something that will definitely change the industry a lot as it gets more adopted. Any form of big data management, and as a component of that, artificial intelligence, which is essentially different ways of processing that data in order to have more predictive analytics based or data driven decision making within the organizations. So this is, having a lot of impact on the way we do business and the way our clients experience us doing business as well. And then blockchain, of course, distributed ledger technologies are going to change the nature of what assets represent, by assets including money as well. So we're tracking these subjects very closely. But again, the important thing is that to understand that technology essentially scales solutions to problems. It doesn't solve problems per se. So it's very important for us to understand where is there friction currently, and then how do we apply these technologies to resolve that friction and create customer value, as opposed to, oh, blockchain is fun, let's just see what can be done with blockchain and then proliferate a bunch of projects that have very little future. Yeah, it's around client use cases, it's around a very reasonable and rational cost and benefit decision. The only maybe difference that we introduce to the business is essentially we make sure that on a timeline of let's say 10 years, we don't place all our bets on what's important next quarter, but we have some kind of foresight into what's coming of importance in the next 3 to 5 years. And in that way, we need to be ready and invest in order to build both capabilities and capacities, but also just talent and understanding, like muscle memory, I call it, so that we're able to actually handle these technologies as they become mainstream. And that's through, again, client-centered product development. There we focus on shorter term horizon, like 3 to 5 years, and we see basically what are the futures that are inevitable. Like, for example, what happens where most of the banking product is delivered in a platform way, and through open API you actually have to onboard technology companies, emerging new fintechs and others to deliver value to the clients, as opposed to you owning the entire value chain in this case. and how do we enable this as opposed to block it. I only see it accelerating. I think that we've gotten to a point where we have very good reception and understanding from senior management on the importance of experimental innovation, or basically driving growth through rapid experimentation. Of course, responsible experimentation within sandboxed environments, but nonetheless, basically learning as we deploy hypothesis-driven experiments as opposed to learning based on executing a plan. First and foremost, the regulations exist for a reason, and it's important for us to actually work closely with the regulators to sandbox some of our efforts. The second thing is, I think a lot of the big important problems are problems that essentially have to be solved through cooperation and collaboration across the industry. That being said, examples like consortiums or data exchanges, or basically different types of collaboration, which I think are empowered by emerging technologies such as blockchain, for example. Secondly, I think that there is need for more pragmatic thinking on innovation in particular. One of the things that I've noticed is there's a lot of theory, but essentially software development is a practical domain. So if you want to be digital, you have to bring people that have actually built products, not only talked about building products in the business, and that changes dynamics, changes culture. And last but not least, specifically for the industry, I think more and more non-traditional talent, aka not talent from studies of finance, economics, and etc., will need to be brought into the business in order to design the next generation of products and services. That doesn't include only engineers. That includes also people who have art background, history background, who have a different view on basically what the next products and services that will deliver growth to the industry will look like.